Thanks everybody for coming tonight. Appreciate the patience for the late start, getting everybody situated. Standing room, sitting room, all of these. 5 years from now, people say I was like Live Aid. So many people. Okay, I'll work on it about it. Here we go. Okay.
Is this one better?
So I appreciate it.
That one better?
They're both. People have questions. Just gonna that one around. Thank you for coming again. When we did those focus group, feedback group, I always started by saying this is like a family dinner. Like sort of everybody's gathered around the kitchen table. I guess it's more of a family reunion. But if you have any questions, let's, this is my first rodeo doing this too, so let's just play away here. So this is our town hall, one of two to discuss the results of, I think we had, 300 surveys go out? 305. 305 surveys went out. 305 people attended these events. So we had good penetration, and we'll talk about the feedback and the tweaks that were made even last night as we had a special board meeting to the plan that was put out. And after today and Thursday, we'll tweak it again if it needs to be. So we'll start again, just like we did in those focus groups, to promote why are we here, what is our mission every day, to promote social activities among our members, providing proper, I always stress that word, proper recreational facilities. And the club aims to foster an active and diverse community through the athletic programs and social experiences. And I'll say it again, we play tennis here, we do our squash, we hang at the pool. There's certainly places maybe closer to our homes, less expensive, but come for the people. We're here for our friends. We're here tonight because we want to preserve this place so we can still hang with our friends, and hopefully our children and grandchildren one day can continue to enjoy it. So, the process, which I alluded to. And actually, before I jump in, how many people here haven't attended one of those feedback groups? Have not. All right, cool. Just wondering. So here's the process, and I don't need to go back too much over it. We had an asset study. Club Benchmarking came out and spent a month going through this place, every nook and cranny, figuring out what do we own, what's the useful life, when does it need to be replaced, and sort of mapped out a very broad stroke game plan over the next 20 years, but really focused on the next 5 years. And that's really our focus. Management reviewed that asset study, sort of prioritized things. As we mentioned in the meeting, when we got that asset study originally, it said we needed to spend $8.5 million next year. And obviously management went through that and obviously spread that out so it could be affordable. Then we created an ad hoc committee. Board members recommended fellow members to create a diverse group that could figure out, look at different methods that we could afford to pay to get this place back in shape. And that committee was made up of squash members, pool members, tennis players, newer members, well-tenured members across the age spectrum. And they came up, they did 4 to 5 meetings and came up with a plan, looking at all the different ways we could solve this riddle, be it up for an assessment, be it financing, and among 20 alternatives. They sent that to the board for review. It went to member committees, finance committee, strategic planning committee. It came back to the board, and then we did the 19 informational sessions, trying to get to as many members as possible, trying to be as transparent as possible, giving them the lay of the land, what we're doing right, what certainly needs improvement. As most people know, as you exited that those informational sessions, we were shortly thereafter emailed a survey. 305 surveys went out. 200 came back.
170.
170 came back.
It's growing.
And it's growing. Yes, thank you. And the information was pretty consistent. And Ken will get up here and talk about what you guys feel, we members feel needs to be done. That brings us to step number 9, Town Hall. Like I said, we're going to do 2 of these. If you like it, please come back on Thursday. And Thursday night board meeting, we will tweak anything, and then the ballots will go out the end of this week. You'll get emailed the ballot. There'll be ballots to pick up here. You can drop it in the box, the ballot box at any time, and we will vote on this as well as new board members for next year, as we do every year. So that's the process. And at this point, I'm going to let Millie shed some light on to this particular thing.
All right. I'm going to read every line to you. So you're aware of every door, bar, entrance, double, push bar, wood, French, outdoor capital here. I just wanted to show you this because in the survey, we received some comments, and I think even early on in some of the sessions that we did about, where is this list of capital projects, where are these needs, and I need you to see page 1 of 101 assets that the club owns. And this is what Joe and I scoured through and determined what would be the most beneficial in terms of capital planning over the course of the years. So this is just a snapshot of what the report looks like. So we received, and this is just the clubhouse in the ballroom, the building exterior, building service total, the employee areas, food and beverage total, informational technology in that area. So every little finite detail is detailed in a report. You do have that. If you are into that, come see me. We will look it over together. But I just wanted to shed some light on what the report actually looks like because it does exist and it's been very beneficial and it is evergreen. It will continue to grow as the years go by and the time goes by and we restore something and we fix the ballroom entrance double push bar door. We will then change the life cycle of that and the value of that piece and that will continue to grow and enhance. So future boards can use this as a tool in future management. I'm sure I won't be here till I retire and just short it. But we can use this as a guide, and that's very important for us in the long run. So what that led us to, as many of you who came to the session saw, is that over the course of 20 years, that study showed us that the club would need $23 million to maintain our current assets, the doors, the floors, the windows, all of the things. That's what that report told us. It told us that actually what it told us is that this year we were going to need like $8 million because we have a lot of different maintenance. So when we first saw the report, it was like, you need to do $8 million worth of work right now. Obviously, we're not going to do that. So we spread it. We made reasonable decisions and things that we could do because we know the true life cycle of many of the things here at the club. So we adjusted that platform to make it reasonable. So year 1 through 5 is 7.7, year 6 through 10 is 5.5, and years 11 through 20 are 9.8. This is to cover deferred maintenance, grass, indoor courts, squash, roofs, windows, HVAC, toilets, wallpaper, everyday care. As our base case summary, again, many of you saw this before, but over the next 5 years, maintaining what we have. In our capital income study, we are going to see projected with our current income and our current membership number, we project $6.12 million in income. However, based on the report, it shows us that the capital expenditures are going to near $8.58 million, and that does not include the debt repayment of $815,000 that we are paying on consistently. So you can see that there is a deficit there.
So this is one of our greatest hit slides in our presentation. So in that 20-year math that Millie alluded to, that, like I said, there are lists upon lists for every year. In the next 5 years, we will be Next year, we're redoing the clay courts again and the squash courts, the same way we lasered the grass courts. Our other tennis surfaces are next. We'll be buying grounds equipment. We'll be putting in seating for squash, clubhouse floor repairs, air conditioning in this room, ladies' locker room updates the following year, clubhouse heat pumps, pool umbrella and chairs, the parking lot, like I said, the most unsexy project in the history of GCC. Men's locker room updates, bar code. Every year's got something. And like I assure you, the list goes on and on and on. We just try to give people highlights that it's not just air conditioners and brick pointing, but some things that affect our enjoyment, a lot of things that affect our enjoyment of the club, software and the like. And I was going to point out 2030 and 2031. Our new padel court's 2 months old. The turf is anticipated to last 4 years. So in 4 years, we will be replacing it. Right now, the grass courts outside, 5 years. That's a 5-year life to keep those courts lasered level and at their top level. So in 2031, we're doing it again. Who mentioned earlier, we're like Germination Town Cricket Club. So we got some green coming up over there. So 2031, we become Germination Town Cricket Club again. Hydro court rehab, grounds, and it just goes on. This is the 5 years. This gets us through, if all these lists were extended, all the things, all the walls that hopefully we're ahead of them, the walls that are going to fall down and what's going to affect us next. So, the long-awaited moment of truth. Focus group survey results. Ken Butler from Called One Smart.
Good evening. Can you hear this? Yes.
I'll talk louder. Good. All right. You first got the clicker.
Get it closer.
Speak loudly.
Okay, that's been, I've been talking all day. At any rate, so those of you who came to the information session or education for the phone, I had an opportunity to fill out a survey to measure the understanding of the issue and your level of agreement on the approach to overcoming the issue. And I haven't seen these slides yet. I'll probably put something in there I haven't seen yet. But we're gonna take a look at it right now. Okay, great. So at first blush, as we were going through this process, like Tom said, there's 305 surveys that we now, 171 surveys came back today. They're still coming in, so people are still filling them out. That's a 56% response rate, which is very strong. We only give at least 30% for reliable data. So we think we have reliable data here. And the question is, there's another 400 members that didn't see these, and hopefully those of them will come to these, but it's likely that, that number is going to stay pretty much the same. So we'll have to make sure they get the information somehow. But when we talk about the agreement on, say, the first question over here is on the left. It says, do you agree with the results of the data presented regarding the club's obligatory capital needs? What that's asking is, are you in agreement that the club has some deferred payments, that you acknowledge that we had an asset evaluation done and it produced those results that we just outlined? And we looked at it through a 7-point scale, starting with strongly agree, and mostly agree, somewhat agree, excuse me, and then neutral, and then 3 levels of disagree, with strongly disagree to somewhat disagree. And so if you look at the results on that question, you'll see that of the people that agree at some level of agreement, that's 86.6% agreement. So well beyond a 2/3 majority, or super majority. If you look at strongly agree and agree, that is the super majority, that's 70%. And so that's a very strong result. That says that the people who got the message that were in, and they understand that data, or understand that data exists, I should say. The second question on the right here is, what is your level of agreement with the practice of matching capital dues to the obligatory needs as outlined in that asset evaluation? And again, we had the same ratio, more or less, about 81% that are in the agreement side, of some level of agreement. Again, strong, much stronger than a super majority in that. And so that sets up when we were talking about the strategies and how to cover the deficit between the base case and the ultimate actual needs of the club, this question measured that understanding. You say with about 12% disagreeing, 6.3% disagreeing on the other one. Minimal neutrals, but really a high percentage of people who agree to some level. Big questions on this one. Okay.
When people built this out, they go to the price tag.
Yes, absolutely. Foster Conklin, that's the example we do this, but yes, it was very clear as to what was being asked from a capital needs perspective. Next, we get into the agreement on an approach to overcome the issue. I'll stand here in the middle so we can see. All right, so on the left there, you see a question. Do you agree that the club needs to raise more capital income from members through a capital needs increase? And then you see the first three lines are the areas of fund level of agreement. And again, that's 85.7% of the respondents in the agreement column. And minimal down to disagree, and it's about the same in neutral. So again, another strong result there. And then the next question, what is your level of agreement tiered across all classes? So tiering it would be mirroring how you do your operating ratio to the full number. Okay? So the way you've been doing it is that $90 capital needs to be the same across all classes. But as we are suggesting that capital needs of 90 is going to go up to a different, we're trying to talk to this on students' thunder on that. Then this question came up out of the focus groups. As you can see, there's a super majority that agrees with the tiering approach of a standard one size fits all approach. Okay? And then these are some of the comments from the comment sections, and they're summarized. And you'll see it starts with the number of comments, and what it dealt with, and I guess magnitude required, right? Yeah, I didn't put this particular slide together. So there are the top priorities mentioned in the survey, improvement of club facilities, comments about that, food and quality, membership expansion and diversity, employee treatment and compensation, communication and transparency, social and engaging atmosphere, capital improvement discussions, and initiation fees and dues concerns, and aesthetics and maintenance of club areas. So there's a mixture of positive and negative comments. There are a lot. In fact, there's a lot fewer written comments than what we customary to see. So the biggest takeaways in the sessions: need for increased funding, concerns about dues increases, deferred maintenance issues, importance of transparency and communication, supporting your capital improvements, member retention, concerns, and financial health of the club, and the need for strategic planning, and balance and affordability with improvements. So those are some of the key takeaways from the comments, which there weren't quite a lot. But I will also say that the numbers that we saw and people that agreed at some level are among the highest scores that we've seen in doing this over the past few years. Typically, we see it around 68 to 77%. You're in the 80s. So that hopefully is an indication that the message got through and the approach that's chosen is at least acceptable at some level.
Sure. That's something. I got it. Okay, I'll take the clicker. So backtrack for one split second. This was the tweak that came up last night, this, in the board meeting about tiering. It was presented in those meetings. As you may know, everybody currently pays $90 a month in capital dues. And the ad hoc committee came up with a really, what really wasn't a focus of the group about how the increases should get distributed. So they made everybody up to, at least in the initial proposal, $150 a month. And the feedback we were getting, and I think it speaks to the social consciousness of our community, is that it's not necessarily fair to have a family of two, a family of four, who puts more wear and tear on our assets here, to pay the same price for our assets as an individual. So last night, the board voted to tier it so that family memberships would pay a $20 bill more per month, and individuals would pay about $40 less per month. So now to skip ahead to this slide. So in year one, family memberships in capital dues would pay an additional $80 per month. And individual members would pay an additional $29 per month. In year two, it's an additional $84 to $59, and year three, $82 and $57 per person. So that's your capital dues, that $90 that you're currently paying. And that is how we're going to present it. I have a matrix to show you in a moment. But that is the capital side of the dues. So I think we were all looking at $90 before, so now it's weighted. Now, let's talk about the operational side. So if you're if you're a family, your most expensive category, family full athletic, you're paying $580 a month, total $90 in capital dues and $480 in operations. Obviously, we have some catching up to do in operations, and we talk about this at length in those meetings. And what is our operations? Our operations is our bottom line, which we call our focus is to get to zero, right? We're not looking to make money. We don't want to lose money. It's whatever we put in is what we get out as members in our experience. So what is operations? It's the membership experience and sustainability for our workforce and their families. So when you pay to operations, that's where your money's going. So what does that mean? Have adequate dining offerings for membership. These are things that we've had to cut back. I've mentioned 1,000 paper cuts that we're suffering as members this year over last year, because all of these great colors took a hit this year as we try to make budget, as our inflation is just kicking our butts. So have adequate dining offerings for members. Lunch, dinners, kids' night, bar hours, late night offerings. Late night offerings are non-existent. Lunches barely exist. Dinners are being cut back. Kids' nights, I don't even see it. And our bar hours. Being an employer of choice. And it's funny, many of the focus groups or feedback groups really jumped on this, and I'm pretty proud to be a member when that was happening. You know, we can all stand up here at the annual meeting and clap for employees. You've been here 25 years. Thank you so much. You're awesome. But we gave you 2% pricing, 2% wage increase last year because we can't afford it within the scope of our operation. So that's proper increases. Having the proper uniforms. You know, if you notice in the summer, a lot of our employees wear their normal pants out of their working. 401k, we have not been able to increase that. Healthcare coverage, we have a pretty not so great program. Wellness protection. Proper staffing for sports. I mentioned we lost a top level tennis pro and we replaced them with a junior pro. So we have less tennis programming. And in turn, as I said earlier, you're in these programs, you're doing a Davis Cup, or we need more events like that, because that's what bonds us as a community. That's what gets us underneath that Sycamore having a double drinks. And that's what each of us, at some point, we're able to gain traction and say, hey, this is the place for me. And we're losing that, and we're losing that battle because of that. We talked about Friday nights and complimentary offerings to show the value of membership and get engagement. It's all about membership engagement, and we're losing in that field as well. Clean and proper care for facilities. I don't want to beat that dead horse. Lifestyle offerings that are consistent. Childcare. Clubs, really, the growth in clubs is in families, right? Young families, and even previous boards. We've got to increase our childcare offerings. We've got to get people get value for their membership. And we've had to cut childcare offerings. The proper pool experience. We had 2 managers last year. We were down to 1. So we did not run as tight a ship as most of us would have hoped. We had to close the snack bar when it got down to 4 or 5 people left at the pool. The snack bar closed. And that's a shame, because we should be having this, and more people come, and you hang at the pool with your friends, and you're having a cocktail or what have you, or even chicken nuggets, or whatever, or Jamo. Proper funding to cover the club expenses that are unique to this. Property insurance, support maintenance needs, cleanliness around the perimeters of the courts, they're all part of these 2,000 paper cuts that we suffered this year, and we are on that spiral that, we don't catch up on operational dues. It's, if you remember from Ken's, the red bucket, that's red bucket 101, we're in that red bucket. Family dues year over year. Oh, this is our price increases over the last years. So, Ken pointed out, his staff pointed out, did you notice the GCC from 2018, 2022, average of 1.6% price increase per year? 1.6%. You know what inflation was in the early 2020s. So, we're not the same club that we were at this point because we've had to cut. I came in around here. I didn't have enough wherewithal to really notice the change. I kind of lean on your members that have been here longer. But we're not the same club. And then you talk about compound. If we're at 3%, then increase that 3% and 3%. Or the industry average. We're doing 0. Industry average was 8.1, 4.1, 3.9. We jumped up to 2.9. The industry was at 7.6. And this is, again, just the average. And, in a way, from where we were coming from, we probably needed it the most. And that's how the club and our experience is changing. And we need to we're talking about a 1-year increase at this point, and that's the intention. Then going back to our standard 3% or CPI changes, but we need to make up for lost ground. And unfortunately, we as members just have to join arms and figure it out and do it together. So, here's the grid. This is the grid that will be attached to that ballot that we mentioned earlier. So this is, Rich, these are the changes we're talking about. So at the most expensive category, family athletic, $490 and $90, $580 will now go to $734 a month. That's $154 change, or about $1,600 a year. In year one, it's a $1,600 jump. In subsequent years, it, I read my own handwriting, about $1,100 a year increase. If you are an individual athletic, it goes from $435 to $516, $81 a month is $1,128, and then in subsequent years, $780. I mean, I can't speak for, but $780 to get this club to where it should be, to get this fantastic facility. I should be working at WH1 to get this back on course is not the hugest of asks. If I did the numbers for pool as well. If you're a family pool member, $399 goes to $525, $126. And subsequent years, it's I can't wait. $95 a year or $1,200 a month. And then obviously it's less for an individual pool, and then 40 if you're under 40, even less than that. But that's the math. That's what this whole discussion and 19 feedback groups and 2 town halls and an annual meeting. This is what it's all about. This is where we are. Now, when you get your Q&A, if there's some sort of feedback or email you want to send me or no, I'll bring it to the board Thursday night. But that is where we are. So, this will be the ballot attached to the prior page of this is the ask. I guess I'll read the whole thing because it's pretty important. Research developed under the members comprised club benchmark. This is the whole summation. But club benchmarking ad hoc committee and further refined through extensive transparency and feedback to Germantown Cricket Club's board, finance committee, and strategic planning committee, as well as 19 member attended transparency feedback sessions and 2 full membership town halls. The following resolution is proposed to ensure the long-term financial health, asset well-being, operational excellence, and sustainability of the Germantown Cricket Club. Part 1, a dues modification on the capital side. The capital portion of the membership dues shall be funded over the next 3 fiscal years, no assessments, no extra day, just those changes I mentioned on the previous page. Funded over the next 3 fiscal years as outlined in the attached membership level capital dues matrix. Capital dues will not change until April 1st. That is the first day of our next fiscal year. Following the attached 3-year period, the capital dues adjustments and all future increases will be, increases to the capital dues will be subject to the limitations set forth in section 7316 of the bylaws. I'm sure you all know what 7316 is. That is, the dues cannot go up more than 3% or CPI, the higher of the two. Dues modifications, the operational, the our membership experience. This resolution is a one-time 15% increase in the operations portion of membership dues to align funding to actual costs of the club operations, membership experience, and workforce sustainability. This modification will begin April 1st, 2026. And again, the same guardrails on it, the 3% or CPI. And last section, the purpose and commitment. The resolution is designed to ensure that this is what we're asking you, ensure the Germantown Cricket Club's ability to fund critical capital expenditures over the next 5 years, maintain operational and membership experience standards expected by we fellow members, and to uphold the principles of transparency, member engagement, and fiscal responsibility. And then at the bottom, yes or no. And that's what we'll all carry back or email in or drop in that ballot box that'll sit outside of our dining area. And that is it. So we can go over this. How do you have to also help support the club? I guess we could talk about this. Have dinner at the club. Enjoy, engage, use your membership, engage other members. Talk to George, have a banquet, attend the club events, come to a clinic for community, be part of the community. And I think that's a hard ask for this group and us because we are very engaged, right? It's those other 600 or so members that we really need to keep getting engaged. This is a key one. Recommend or propose a new member. We got to grow our membership. That solves a lot of problems. And new members also bring in energy, but they bring in the dues and capital dues that can be spread out among all of us members. And lastly, the next project I approved on this one is to really get our friends at GCC, our 501c3, up and off of the ground. They do a great job, a phenomenal job in community outreach, but we need to do historical preservation, and we also take care of the staff when they have a personal crisis here. But that will also lighten the load of the capital side and capital responsibilities that we fellow members share. So, what's the name of the game? This was an early slide in other presentations. Just let's become the best version of ourselves. We're not looking to be anything else besides making this place and these assets at the top of their game. We spend so much in tennis lessons and squash lessons. Let's get it to the top. I want to be at the top of my game. Let's get the place in the top of its game. And be no more than what we are, and we don't pretend to be anything more than we are, but let's do what we do well.